All right, so what we're going to do is look at how to do equations and calculations in a spreadsheet. So the Toy Lab is a good example of this because one of the things we want to know, for example, is how far the toy went in each instant of time. So if you look at our time intervals over here, we had 0.2 seconds between each time interval. So instead of knowing like where the object is at each time, I want to know how far it went in each interval. So I'm going to call that split distance. And it'll be meters because it's how far it goes in each split. And when you first hit the thing, it hasn't gone anywhere yet. So we're going to put a 0 in for the first one. Then for each successive one of these points, what I want to have is how far it went from 0.4 seconds, for example, between 0.2 and 0.4 seconds. Okay, so we can see, like, if you do the math, it would be 0.19 meters. And then I could subtract and do this one, etc. So I could put that on my calculator, but it would take forever. I can use a spreadsheet to do it much faster. So to do it, what I'm going to do is press equals. Any equation that you use in a spreadsheet is going to start with an equal sign. And then I'm going to say which cell I want to do. So I want to take this value right here, B3, in B3, and subtract the one that's above it. So that would be B2 here. And I'll press enter. And you'll notice that it comes up with the value. So that's all well and good, but what's useful here is that I can do them all at once I do the first one. So I did this calculation. I'm going to go down and grab the bottom right corner of this box that I just created and drag it all the way down to the bottom of the column. And it will have done all of them for me. Now, this data that I have is, made up data that the computer came up with. So you're seeing a lot of the exact same split distances each time. Your data is probably going to be much different, but it will subtract them all for you. So I would suggest you do that with yours. Then we're going to make one more column. We're going to call it split speed. We want to know how fast was it going during that interval. So again, the first one's going to be a 0. And to figure out the speed for each interval after that, I'm going to do the distance it traveled in that interval divided by the time interval, which in this case, if you look at our column over here, the time intervals are 0.2 seconds each. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say equals again. I'm going to take how far it went in that time, so that's 0.19 meters, and I'm going to divide that by 0.2 because that's the time that it took. And I'm going to push enter. And it gives me that value. And again, click on it, grab the bottom right, and drag down like so. So again, your numbers are most likely going to be varying much more than these numbers, but it was all about the process. At this point, you want to create another graph. So we're going to do split speed versus time. So I'm going to highlight this column. I'm going to hold down Control and highlight this column. And then I'm going to create my graph. So I'm going to come over here, insert. And the type of graph that I want is a scatter plot. No, that's not what I wanted. So here it is. And if you'll notice, my titles and all of that are already in, so I'm good to go. So you're going to need to create a graph just like this. So by tomorrow, you should have a graph of position versus time and a graph of split speed versus time. We'll talk about those in class.